My new address will be someplace on anywhere road. It's the prettiest someplace on anywhere road. And all the millionaire's money couldn't build a better abode than my someplace on anywhere road.
Hi there, I'm David Duncan and welcome to Bing Crosby, The Hollywood Years. Well, 1957 was another lean year for Bing in the filming department, and it would be one of the last consecutive years in which he had a film released. After this, he would only make a film on average every 2 years through to 1965. But the film he made in 1957 is not well remembered today, but it was another great example of the fine actor that Bing had become. It's a hard-hitting drama about divorce and the battle for custody over children, which is as relevant today as it was when it was made.
When you're in love, you're a man on fire, and a man on fire is a man to behold.
Produced by MGM, Man on Fire has the distinction of being the first feature film where Bing plays a solely dramatic part, with no singing other than the title song over the opening credits. It tells the story of a divorced father who has sole custody of his teenage son.
Hey, old buddy, about ready to shove off? Maybe I could help you with that packing. I'm very good in that department, you know. You're pretty mad at me, aren't you? Hey, Geronimo, I belong to another tribe. What does that mean? I asked no, or they went that way?
I'm busy.
Come here. Come on, get your little bucket butt over here.
Now things are going well until the boy's mother, who's been remarried, decides to claim joint custody of their son.
Sam told me what you and Seward wanted, and I told him no, and I'm telling you the same thing. You can't have Ted.
I hoped you'd bring him with you. I was looking forward to seeing him. He's at that age when they change so fast.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I have to wait, don't I?
Yeah, till this is settled, yes.
Earl. You're going to fight it.
Every inch of the way, and you're not going to enjoy it either.
This starts a war of words and a legal battle that is at times bitter and nasty.
That agreement has to be set aside, with your permission or without it. We've waited 2 years for this.
I can't wait anymore.
Gwen's had the boy a total of 9 weeks in all that time.
Earl, he hardly knows me. He's forgetting me. Sometimes I think he doesn't even like me.
I never influenced his mind against you.
But that agreement does it for you. He thinks that the reason I don't have him is because I don't want him. I have a right.
You gave it up, don't you remember? You came to me and said you were in love with this clown, and I'd be a nice guy and let you go. When I saw how things were, I was glad enough to do it and let you take everything with you that belonged to you, but not Ted. He was part of our marriage, and you're not going to take him now. You took enough when you left.
But I never took anything from you.
No. Only my reason for living.
Oh, that's not fair.
Seems to me you're in the government. I believe I read somewhere you're up for an important job soon.
I think you're threatening me.
How do you feel about a little unpleasant publicity?
It wouldn't do me a world of good.
No, not the kind I'm thinking about.
That's why Gwen signed that agreement without telling me about it. Because of publicity, what it would do to me and the boy.
I'll worry about the boy.
She didn't want either of us hurt. It doesn't matter anymore.
Oh, you ready to kiss your career goodbye?
If necessary. I'd rather not. But I will if I must.
The support cast is excellent and includes Malcolm Broderick as Bing's teenage son, Ted.
You better tell me a few things right now. I'm not a little kid, you know.
What's on your mind? Girls?
Girls? I could tell you things about girls that would knock your hat off.
You better quit hanging around that water cooler at the factory.
E.G. Marshall and Inga Stevens as Bing's lawyer and his assistant.
Hello, Earl. I was hoping you'd be here. You want a drink?
No, thanks.
I do. I heard all over.
I'll get it.
Make it double, will you, Nina?
What's the matter, Sam? You have a tough day?
Mary Fickett as the ex-wife.
You used to be nicer.
I used to be a lot of things I'm not anymore.
And Richard Eastham as her new husband.
I don't think either one of us wanted to fall in love, but we did. And here we are. You'd better learn to live with that.
Doesn't it give you rather a strange feeling? talking to somebody who knows her better than you do?
What do you mean by that?
Well, it's funny how when you touch the back of her neck in a certain way, she starts to tremble. You found that out, haven't you?
Hey, you know any good dirty jokes?
Now, Bing refuses to grant custody to his ex-wife, but does agree that Ted can stay with her for a limited time until the court hearing. This is where things really come to a head.
Why the sudden change of mind?
Because of her. Because I made her cry.
At the hearing, and after hearing all the testimony, the judge, played by Anne Seymour, ends up making a controversial decision.
The boy must learn that his mother does care what happens to him. He must learn and cherish her love, as he does that of his father. Therefore, this court awards Mrs. Seward full custody of the child from this day forward.
No. He's my son. You can't take him away from me.
You will have full visitation rights, Mr. Carlton. I'm not taking him away from you. I'm giving him to his mother.
What does that mean? I don't know what you're talking about. All I know is what you're doing. The boy told you himself he wanted to be with me. You said so. He told you that, didn't he? Didn't he tell you that?
The ties between you and your son are very strong. They won't break. But his mother has no ties with the boy at all. My decision is final.
Well, I'll appeal. That's what we'll do. We'll appeal. We'll take it to a higher court and see if they can do. She can't do this to me, can they?
We'll do everything we can to see.
I don't want anything from you. You got everything now and you feel guilty and you want to be generous. Well, you're not going to be with me. Not with me, you won't.
I'd like to say, Your Honor...
Oh,
that
don't
my
do
wife
me any
wants to take me
favors.
with
I don't want anything from you either.
I only want to talk to you.
Forced now to live with his mother and new stepfather, Ted makes life for everyone as difficult as possible, and before long, ends up running back
For a
home.
minute. You know we don't want to hurt you. Look at me, Ted. Please look at me.
Bing finally decides to take things into his own hands, that ultimately leads to a very unhappy conclusion.
The airport.
What are you going to do? Have me sell you out and spend the rest of your life in Europe?
Well, what if I did?
I don't like being used. Apparently, it never occurred to you. You don't do something like that to a friend.
We're not such good friends. Not anymore.
Yeah, you're right.
So tomorrow I'll get a good lawyer.
You do that.
Both of you. Now, you're saying things friends shouldn't be saying.
What's wrong with your memory? This is the guy that talked me out of fighting for my son.
Then how do you know when you love someone?
Because you want to make them happy. It's the most important thing there is.
You want to make me happy? Then you have to let me go.
I know.
Things do work out, however, in the end, with a joint custody arrangement being agreed to after realising the damage that's being done to their son due to all the fighting.
Have you made up your mind?
Yeah. I don't know whether I've won or lost. Go on.
Bye, Miss Wiley.
Bye.
Mom, wait for me. I'm coming with you.
Filming for Man on Fire was conducted between December 1956 and February 1957 at MGM Studios in Culver City, with location scenes filmed at the Douglas Aircraft Plant in Santa Monica. Co-star Inga Stevens remembered that, "The first day of rehearsals, I was so nervous I thought he'd fire me. Instead, he was very quiet. I found out later that Bing Crosby takes a good deal of knowing. He weights things very carefully. He's cautious. If he likes someone, he opens up, but this takes time. He's extremely likable and an extremely fine actor. He's extremely well read and interested in more subjects than show business. He knows so much about politics, sports, painters and writers. He's one of the most well-rounded gentlemen I've ever met." Man on Fire is, in my opinion, a really good dramatic film that highlights Bing's skill as an actor, and it's just a pity that it didn't get more attention when released. My only criticism of the film is that the ending seems a bit rushed, with Bing's sudden shift in demeanour from an angry divorced father who would do anything to keep his son, to suddenly just walking away with Inga Stevens happy and smiling. However, I would put the blame more with the writing and direction rather than with Bing's performance. Now, after filming was completed, and as a way to promote Man on Fire, Ed Sullivan filmed a special trailer with Bing to discuss the making of the picture.
Well, Ed Sullivan, the eternal commuter. What brings you to Hollywood this time, Eddie?
Well, Bing, I wanted to drop in on your set and say hello to you while I was out here lining up some acts for our show.
Oh, you picking up a few tumblers, a few jesters, one thing or another? Well, listen, I'm glad I ran into you. What we want to find out is what, in your opinion, is the best type of entertainment for the public? What appeals to them most? What's the most surefire kind of entertainment to give them?
Well, Bing, in the 9 years we've been on TV, the shows that have been remembered and become, sort of standouts, always have been the same type of show, the show that touches their emotions.
Something sentimental.
That's exactly it.
Genuine.
While I was waiting for you, I was reading the script here. And this actually illustrates just what you and I are discussing, because in Man on Fire, although on this one you're playing a straight dramatic part.
True.
Scene after scene, the emotions of people are going to be so aroused and so moved that you may very easily wind yourself up with an Academy Award out of this one.
I just hope it's good, Ed. It's well written. It's a good script. We had a lot of new people in the picture, and I guess
recognize a lot of them.
You probably know a lot of them from Broadway and
you
from
picked the
TV.
Cream from Broadway.
Here's some of them here. Here's Inger Stevens. I think she's a cinch to be one of the year's biggest discoveries. Mary Fickett came from Tea and Sympathy on Broadway after she replaced Deborah Carr. And Malcolm Broderick, who plays my son, also makes his film debut. Richard Easton, who starred on Broadway and South Pacific, and Call Me Madam. Well, there they are, Ed. That's our little group of strolling players. I think you'll have to agree that they're attractive, competent.
Now, during the production of the film, Bing, who was a widower, became romantically involved with his co-star, Inga Stevens, and there was talk at the time that the two of them might actually get married. Sadly, though, for Inga, once the film was finished, Bing's old girlfriend, Catherine Grant, came back into his life, and before the year was out, they were married at a quiet ceremony in Las Vegas. Now, Bing and Catherine, of course, went on to have 3 lovely children and stayed married until Bing's death in 1977. Now, it was largely due to the new family commitments that Bing slowed down in regards to making films, and so for that reason, this is where we'll leave the 3rd series of Bing Crosby, The Hollywood Years. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm David Duncan, and thank you for watching.
No kiss but hers can still that yearning heart. A man on fire, burning with the flame of love.